Welcome to Zen Vibe Studio, the space where we dive deep into the psychology of human behavior, mindset, and emotional mastery. In today's video, we are exploring one of the most important topics in emotional intelligence: how to never get angry, how to stop people from bothering you, and how to control anger using proven psychological techniques. Anger is universal. Every human feels it. But some people are easily triggered, while others remain calm, even in the worst situations. Why is that? What makes anger take over the mind? And more importantly, can we truly reach a level where people's words or actions no longer disturb us? Today's topic is based on scientific research, neuroscience, and well-established psychological principles. So, what is anger? Anger is a basic, natural human emotion that arises when we feel threatened, disrespected, or blocked from achieving something. Psychologically, anger acts as a signal that something is wrong. It can be a reaction to injustice, frustration, or emotional hurt. Biologically, anger is created deep inside the brain. When you feel threatened, even emotionally, the amygdala, the brain's emotional control center, activates instantly. It sends signals to the hypothalamus, which triggers the release of stress hormones such as adrenaline and cortisol. These chemicals make your heart beat faster, your muscles tense up, and your body prepare for a fight or flight response. This is why anger feels so physical. It is not just in your mind. It is a full body reaction. Harvard Medical School explains that during anger, the amygdala can override the rational part of the brain, the prefrontal cortex, making people react without thinking. This is why people say things they regret or act impulsively when angry. The American Psychological Association notes that anger becomes harmful when it becomes chronic or uncontrolled because it affects thinking, relationships, health, and decision-making. Now, the question is, why do people get angry? People get angry for many reasons, but most of them boil down to perception, how we interpret people's actions and situations. One of the major reasons is perceived injustice. If someone feels they are being treated unfairly, anger surfaces immediately. Another powerful trigger is the ego. When someone challenges our ego, criticizes us, embarrasses us, or questions our abilities, the ego reacts with anger to protect its identity. Stress is another huge factor. A person who is already emotionally overloaded or living under pressure has a much lower tolerance. Even small issues can trigger a big emotional reaction. Psychological research also shows that anger is often learned behavior. People who grow up in environments where shouting and fighting are normal eventually internalize that behavior. Additionally, cognitive distortions, such as overthinking, assuming negative intentions, expecting perfection from others, create unrealistic expectations that lead to anger and disappointment. Dr. Raymond Novaco, a leading anger researcher from UC Irvine, has shown in multiple studies that anger is strongly linked to stress levels, frustration tolerance, and learned patterns of thinking. The Journal of Personality and Social Psychology found that individuals with higher levels of cognitive distortion are more likely to react with anger in everyday situations, even when the trigger is small. So, what is the phenomenon behind anger? To understand how to control anger, you first need to understand what happens in the brain during the moment you feel triggered. Psychologist Daniel Goleman introduced a term called amygdala hijack. This refers to the moment when the emotional brain takes over the rational brain. During an emotional hijack, the amygdala perceives even a minor comment as a threat and reacts as if you are in danger. Your logical thinking shuts down, and you react impulsively. Neuroscience researcher Joseph Ledoux from NYU demonstrated that the amygdala processes emotional responses 10 times faster than the conscious thinking brain. This means your emotional reaction comes first, and your thinking mind comes later. That is why anger feels automatic and uncontrollable. But the truth is, once you understand this mechanism, you gain power over it. The emotion rises suddenly, but your reaction is something you can train and improve. So let's get into the real part of this video: how to never get angry or bothered by anyone. The goal isn't to eliminate anger completely. That is impossible and unnatural. The goal is to master anger, so people's actions don't control your emotions. Psychology offers several evidence-based techniques that significantly reduce anger reactivity. One of the most powerful techniques is cognitive reappraisal, which means changing the way you interpret a situation. Instead of assuming someone intentionally tried to hurt you, reframe the meaning. Maybe they are stressed. Maybe it's not about you. This psychological technique is scientifically proven to reduce emotional intensity by up to 60%, according to a Stanford University study by Dr. James Gross and Oliver John. Another important method is building emotional distance, which means mentally stepping back and refusing to get emotionally attached to someone else's behavior. Instead of reacting, observe their behavior as if you are watching a movie. The Journal of Experimental Psychology found that emotional distancing reduces amygdala activation, making anger significantly weaker. You can also use the 6-second rule, based on research by emotion expert Dr. Paul Ekman. Every strong emotion causes a chemical surge in the body that lasts about 6 seconds. If you pause for just 6 seconds before reacting, the emotional intensity naturally decreases. Identifying your personal triggers is also crucial. Once you know what irritates you, you can interrupt the emotional pattern early. Cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT. Research shows that identifying and reframing triggers can reduce anger outbursts by more than 60%. Another scientifically validated technique is slow, deep breathing. This shifts the body from a stress state into a calm state by activating the parasympathetic nervous system. Harvard Health Publishing notes that controlled breathing lowers cortisol and reduces anger significantly. Expressive writing, simply writing what you feel on paper, is another effective method. According to studies by psychologist James Pennebaker, writing about emotional experiences decreases emotional intensity and increases self-control. One more powerful technique is affect labeling, putting a name to your emotion. A UCLA brain study by Matthew Lieberman revealed that labeling emotions, "I am frustrated," "I am triggered," reduces activity in the amygdala and increases activity in the logical brain, which helps calm you quickly. In addition to these psychological techniques, lifestyle choices play a major role. Poor sleep, high caffeine intake, lack of exercise, and irregular routines increase irritability and anger sensitivity. Research from the American Psychological Association shows strong links between emotional instability and poor sleep quality. Now, as we shift to the solution, the real question is how to stop people from bothering you. To reach a point where people no longer affect your peace, you must practice psychological detachment and emotional boundaries. First, Understand that not everything requires a reaction. When you stop reacting to every comment, you automatically gain emotional power. Silence is often the strongest response. Another method is mentally minimizing the trigger. If someone says something rude, imagine their voice getting smaller, or imagine them as a cartoon character. This simple mental technique reduces the emotional power of their words. You must also stop taking things personally. Most people behave based on their emotional state, not because of you. When you stop assuming that people's behavior reflects your worth, their actions stop hurting you. A high-status psychological response, calmness, slow tone, and controlled expressions, makes people respect you more and prevents escalation. Emotionally strong individuals remain focused on their goals and ignore distractions. The more clarity you have about your purpose, the less external noise affects you. Finally, remember that you choose your emotional response. You cannot control how people behave, but you can control how you interpret and respond to their behavior. Once you master this, nobody can disturb your inner peace. So, the conclusion: anger is not your enemy. Lack of control is. When you understand the psychology and neuroscience of anger, you can train your mind to respond instead of react. You don't have to get rid of anger. You only need to master it. With the techniques discussed today, cognitive reappraisal, emotional distancing, slow breathing, affect labeling, expressive writing, and mindful pausing, you can reach a level where people's words and actions no longer affect you. Emotional power is not about suppressing anger. It is about guiding it. True strength is staying calm, even when the world around you tries to provoke you.